Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Hello, welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. I'm glad that you're joining me here today. I appreciate your tuning in always. I'm going to start out with a fun food fact for you. Now, chocolate, our beloved chocolate, was once used as currency. As early as 250 AD, ancient civilizations of Mexico and South America, specifically the Mayans and the Aztecs, used the cocoa bean as a system of money. And we all know why, right? Because it's so valuable. So back in the day, back in 250 AD, they knew how valuable the cocoa bean was. They clearly appreciated its wonderful properties. So yeah, they used it as money. So we use it today just for pure pleasure. Or perhaps there's some societies still who use it for currency. I'm not sure. But anyway, on to my topic for today, which is how to eat your way to health and happiness. So if you're a little curious about this, the fact is, we all know that we can eat our way into misery, right? We've done it many times with, out of control binges or eating foods that we know are going to cause us to break out or put on weight or just have our digestive system grumble and growl and just give us terrible side effects. So we know how to eat for misery. And of course, we know how to eat for pleasure as well. When we first start out on eating something absolutely delicious, even if we know it's not good for us, at first there's those moments of pleasure. But when we're talking about health and happiness, that's a whole nother issue. So how to eat for health and happiness. Now, I'm going to first give you a quote, which I love. And this is from the book. It's from Michael Pollan, who's the author of Food Rules. And he says, don't eat anything your great-grandmother wouldn't, or your great-great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. There are a great many food-like items in the supermarket your ancestors wouldn't recognize as food. Stay away from these. So unfortunately, we eat a lot of those nowadays. The supermarket is full of things that, if you look at the ingredients, they're not food. There's like a whole string of chemicals and compounds, but we really shouldn't call it food. So oftentimes I get asked, what should I eat to be healthy and happy? And you might think the answer is simple, and it is, but it's not what you think, of course, because I'm not talking about simple pleasure, because there's a difference between long-term health and happiness and immediate gratification and satisfaction. So many people might answer the question by reeling us off a list of all the foods named in the latest fad diet. We know about some of them. But while some of these foods might be healthy, a more important consideration really needs to be made. And that is basically, can I eat these in a sustainable way? Can I sustain my lifestyle by eating these foods? Now, we're all different, and therefore we have different needs. And that's why I never prescribe one diet for somebody, or I never tell somebody what they should eat. I mean, that work Roy, my husband and I have done for close to 30 years has never included telling people what to eat or just handing them a diet, because we believe so much in the fact that all of our bodies are individual. We have individual needs, desires, reactions to foods. We're such complex beings, and we really need to find our way. We give people guidelines. We tell people what we do, but never would I say what I do is what you should do. So we're all different, and we have different needs. And not only that, we have different stressors in our life. Some of us, have 2 jobs and 3 children. We have food allergies. Some people have no kids and they run marathons, so they certainly have different needs and different way of living. I mean, we've got so many different, considerations, what our work schedule is, how late we are up at night, how early we get up in the morning, sort of what our exercise program is, if any. So we all have different circumstances, and not one size fits all, clearly. And because we're different, the answer to this question of what to eat for health and happiness requires more of a thoughtful approach. And while there are many foods that boost our energy and, can do amazing things for our mood and our health, it's also not always possible to make them a staple in your life. So, some people can't afford all the superfoods that are found in the health food store. And in such cases, it's important to think more creatively. When you have a mortgage and loan and bills and a family to think about, buying expensive green juices every day might not be feasible for you. So, in answering this question, what should I eat to be healthy and happy, I really want to suggest that you discover what works by considering what's sustainable for you in the long run. So important. I mean, we all know diets don't work because if you go off of them, if you go on them, you tend to go off of them eventually, right? And we need a plan and foods to eat that we can sustain, that we can have in a refrigerator over and over and feel good about them and cook them in different ways and get satisfaction from them over the long term. So the first step to eating for health and happiness is to stop eating processed foods, those foods that have ingredients we don't recognize. Processed foods tend to be cheaper and more convenient, but even for somebody who's overworked and cash strapped, it's important to look beyond what's just on the shelf at 7-Eleven or, what's on the menu at Denny's, okay? It's really important to really replace microwavable foods or packaged microwave meals with nutrient-dense whole foods. And I'm talking about organic greens or just greens in general. They don't have to be organic. You're doing good if you're switching from, processed foods to greens. But if you can go organic, of course, it's even better. Grains, there's something out there now. I personally can't eat grains for a variety of reasons, and I'll do a show on that soon. But there are something called pseudo grains, which are grains like amaranth, buckwheat, and quinoa. Those are healthier than your average grain. There is beans such as lentils, fish, especially wild-caught salmon and other fish that isn't farm-raised. So stop eating the processed foods. Look for foods that come straight from the earth or wild-caught. It's just really important to be really recognizing what you're eating and what's in what you're eating. And the fewer chemicals we can eat, the fewer processed foods we can eat, and the more back to nature, back to earth, we can direct our diet, the healthier we're going to be and the happier we're going to be. Okay, we're talking about health and happiness here. Yes, when you eat natural, whole grain, yummy from the earth foods, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more grounded and more natural. I walk down to the farmer's market. I'm very blessed to have a farmer's market about a block and a half from my house. And I go there every week, and I also have a Whole Foods a block and a half from my house. But when I buy things at the farmer's market that come straight from the farm, it feels so good. It just feels so nourishing to me. And it actually does taste better. The lettuce comes straight from the farm, tastes better than the organic lettuce I get at Whole Foods because it's more direct. It hasn't been sitting in a warehouse or on a truck or in a plastic container. So it just tastes better and feels better. So there's so much more. It's not just about swapping out the foods, swapping processed for natural, from the earth foods. It's also about the process of choosing foods that are of the earth, choosing to buy organic, choosing to shop at the farmer's market for your greens and fish. Sometimes there's fish at my farmer's market, wild fish. But anyway, when we do make those choices, it just grounds us and it makes us feel good about ourselves. Okay, so that's definitely a prescription for health and happiness. Also, I'm going to put some on the website. This podcast will be on my website, healyourhunger.com, and I'm going to put some links there for some great information on pseudo grains, great information about tasty and healthy recipes that you can access. Okay, the second point is to stop counting calories. And I say this because not all calories are created equal. So you want to look for foods that are high in mind-boosting neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and tryptophan. Now, they don't put that on the label, the food labels, but foods like spinach, sesame seeds, almonds, oats, watercress, tuna, egg whites, turnip greens, these are things that are really, really nutrient dense. And these things, again, if you're just eating these, you're going to be healthier and happier. So don't make it all about the calories. Calories can help if you've been really out of control with food and you really have no idea about portion sizes. I like to recommend having an equal amount of calories in each meal, so you're not stretching out your stomach with a 1,000-calorie meal, and then for lunch eating a 300-calorie meal, and then you're starving come a couple hours later because you've haven't had even amounts of calories. But calorie counting and calorie obsession is not where it's at. It's really be nutrient obsessed, eat foods that are high in good nutrients. And the more raw and less cooked, the better. Blanched or steamed is better than fried, obviously, or boiled. But really raw is wonderful because you've got all the nutrients intact. They tend to, you lose nutrients as you heat food. So it's just something to think about. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Just try and stick to a variety of unprocessed whole foods. Now, the third point is to read labels, okay? And if you can't read what's on the label, put it back down. So most of us look at the calorie content of a food when we're trying to determine if it's healthy or not. But instead, really read the ingredient list. I mean, you'll be amazed. I was with my mom a couple weeks ago, and or maybe a month or so ago, and we went into a nice supermarket because we needed to grab some lunch, and it's sort of a high-end market. I thought their foods would be nutritious, but we went to the soup section, and I couldn't believe the soup that they had. It was like a tomato-based soup, but they had sugar in it and they had flour in it. It wasn't like a chowder, like what naturally is flour. Of course, I mean, they put flour in chowders, of course, we expect that. But like some tomato soup, they put flour in it. And I just thought, that is so disappointing. I mean, it's totally unnecessary to have sugar in soup. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. We're just getting hooked on that sweet taste. And, unfortunately, stores know that, and food product companies know that when you sweeten things, people want it more. They love it more. So we're clearly a sugar addicted nation. So that was just totally disappointing to me. Needless to say, I didn't have it, that soup. But it's really important to look at the labels and see what's really in the soup, in the chicken salad that, again, should just be like chicken and mayonnaise. But no, they put other things in there. And of course, things in bags and boxes. All kinds of ingredients we can't pronounce, and it's not necessary. And if you go to Whole Foods or a natural food store, Trader Joe's has some good choices, and you look at ingredients, the simpler the list of ingredients, the shorter the list of ingredients, things you understand what they are, that's going to be a lot healthier for you than that long list of crazy names you can't pronounce. Also, on the website, I'm going to put some advice from the FDA on how to figure out the nutritional information on labels, on product labels. It's really cool. It just shows you literally what that chart is that's on the back of that sort of nutrition or nutrient percentages and how to read that. I mean, I always look at things like, we all probably know how to look for fat or sugar content, but it actually tells you what to do with all the different aspects on that label. So you can check that out. So the fourth thing is to throw out the bad stuff. I love this. It sounds simple, but the psychological effect of emptying out all the junk from your house and your cupboards has a huge impact on your mind and your consciousness around food. Okay. And I love it because you're basically saying to the universe, hey, I'm turning over a new leaf. I want to be healthier. So I'm not going to sit there and deliberate every time I open the refrigerator over whether I should eat this, unhealthy food or that healthy choice. When you set yourself up to have to make that choice or be faced with that choice, guess what? You're going to end up making the wrong choice eventually if you have the choice. And so it's really important to clear out your cupboards and just like up level your cupboards and get rid of the crap. Cut out the crap, replace it with good stuff. Replace your corn syrup laden ketchup with unsweetened ketchup, or ketchup at least that has, there's a good one that has agave, even though agave is not great for you. It's not going to spike your sugar levels like regular corn syrup will. It's not great, so I probably shouldn't bring that up as an example, but it's not going to give you the glycemic hit, let's put it that way. But needless to say, canned fruits, if you have canned fruit in your cupboard, take the ones out with corn syrup in it and put in, fruits that are simply in water. There's soups that, take out the soups that have flour and sugar in them and put natural soups that don't have that crap in it. So just really be conscious of what's in the refrigerator, what's in the cupboards, and clear the stuff out that you don't want to end up choosing in a weak moment. At the end of the day when you're tired and hungry, if it's not there to choose, you won't eat it, okay? Unless you make an enormous effort to go get it or order it in or something like that. But in that weak moment, it's not right there for you to reach for. And when you replace the bad with the good, you really rewire your brain so it understands that you're committing to a permanent change by reducing the distractions and the temptations. It's literally, you're setting yourself up for a much easier ride. And the fifth thing is to ditch the diet, okay? So diets don't work, and I've covered that in a previous show. But, diets don't work, obviously, because when you go on them, you have to go off of them. They're a temporary fix. They're a Band-Aid designed for quick results, but not long-lasting results. So anyone who's ever tried a diet knows what the problem with them is, but nevertheless, we get very tempted by them when we're desperate and feeling fat or whatever. So it's really important to know that diets just, they cause us to contort our bodies. They cause us to go into an unnatural state of eating, and that's not sustainable. And frankly, it affects your self-esteem as well, because we want these changes, these healthy changes, to come from the inside out, not imposed from the outside in. So dieting is, imposing something from the outside in. And if you're not feeling it, if you're not wanting to clean up your food or your lifestyle, if you're not naturally wanting to just do better for yourself because you're feeling better about yourself, then it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be sustainable, and it's going to make you feel cranky and kind of resentful and deprived, okay? Feeling deprived is something, no emotional either ever wants to feel. And so dieting just puts you in that position to feel deprived and feel like, frankly, if you tell me I can't eat carrot sticks, that's the only thing I'm going to want to eat. I'm going to break down your door for some carrot sticks. It's the psychology of it. Don't swear off of anything. Don't, say this is all I'm going to eat or whatever. Just try to make healthy choices based on your fundamental decision that you want to be healthier, that you want to start being healthier, and take better care of your body. So when it comes from the inside out, it's so much easier to sustain. So really important. And it's important to know that the foods we enjoy and can safely eat and afford, I'm just reiterating the fact that it's different for all of us. So stop looking at somebody else's plate. Stop looking at what, Carol's bringing into the office and eating. Stop trying to eat what other people are eating. That's such a recipe for disaster, frankly. So that's my bonus point for today, is to, take your eyes off of somebody else's plate, go within, research what's right for you and feels good for you and your body. Notice how your body reacts to certain foods. And, when you have a reaction, if you find you're getting gas or you're belching or, you have bad breath from something, make some changes. I mean, for a while, I've been on a kind of strict regimen. I don't know what you call it. It's just a very pared down diet of eating. It's not a four-letter word diet, or it's really, I have some issues health-wise that I've needed to eat really cleanly, like more cleanly than my clean diet. So it's been really tough. But one of the things I wasn't able to eat are onions and garlic, which was like death to me, frankly. I love onions and garlic. But for the past several weeks, if not months, I've had to not eat our onions and garlic as much as I could help it, And what happened is that the other day I did eat a meal or there was a sauce that had a lot of garlic in it, and I ate it. And I had the worst breath afterwards, and it was just gross to me. And I'm like, wow, I used to have this breath all the time, and all of a sudden my consciousness had changed because I had cleared that out of my diet. And it was just really amazing to me that I no longer wanted that. Like I felt the difference, and I no longer wanted to have stinky breath and a bad taste in my mouth. So, again, make it come from the inside out. Do what's right for you. Nobody else has to live in your body. Nobody else has to taste what's in your mouth most of the time. So it's really important that you make those decisions for yourself. Make them based on really feeling better about yourself and doing what feels good, and you'll be much healthier and much happier. So I'm going to just remind you of my tips for today. Stop eating processed foods. Stop counting calories or making it all about the calories. Read labels, really important. Read labels and don't eat the things that have ingredients you can't pronounce. Throw out the bad stuff. Don't even make it an option. And ditch the diet, okay? Super, super, super important. So, I hope these help, and I just really, want to remind you that this is a journey and not a destination, and it's a day at a time, and we're all just bozos on the bus trying to do the best we can do. And so I just congratulate you on listening and putting one step forward in being healthier and happier. Day at a time. So thanks so much, and God bless.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.